Hi everyone, welcome to the YAM Podcast. My name is Naha Hakbin and we are honored to bring to you one other episode of the YAM Podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have our own mama in the house. One of our OGs of the Mama Comfort Toolkit is here being interviewed. It was really amazing. Like initially when I did the Mama Comfort Toolkit interviews, I said that the only requirement is for you to have a child between the ages of 0 and 5 or be pregnant. And Mona Green was our only pregnant mama. And what was amazing was her story of how she gave birth. Like before, when I spoke to her, she was really distraught and she was in a place where she was trying to figure things out. And basically this podcast is her full story of what happened thereafter. And we spoke for so long. And so we're going to actually split this podcast into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. So I can't wait for you guys to hear one of our very own mama's experience. Woohoo! Let's start, guys! Hi everyone, my name is Naha Hakbin. I am the host of the YAM Podcast, and today we have a very special guest. As you guys already know, the whole YAM Podcast came about by me interviewing 30 women for this product called the Mama Comfort Toolkit, which I am actually finalized today. And by the time this episode comes out, it will already be live, but you will be able to enjoy it tomorrow, actually. Anyways, so the Mama Toolkit, like of all the 30 people that I did, I wanted to interview like pregnant women and also like women who had children from the ages of 0 to 5. I don't know what happened, but I didn't get to interview a lot of pregnant women. In fact, you were the only one. And pregnancies are like my jam. Like that's where I like want to love and just cherish like mamas like the most. And so I was a little sad about that, but I was so happy to have you. So you were like my precious gem of the interview. And you shared so many beautiful things with me that I was like, wow, like the number of challenges or stresses on a pregnant mother are so much that it's so funny that we think motherhood is like the mothering of it because you have an older child and you were pregnant with the second one. So the last time we spoke, you were pregnant. Now you are no longer pregnant. And so I'm super excited in this conversation to not only share what you shared with me before in our interview, but also your birth process, which is actually related to it. And now how you're doing. So, oh my gosh, any woman listening to this right now is like, this is like, for you to even show up is honestly, I commend you. I commend you for just even being here because you're in the trenches and all the mothers know that you are in the trenches right now. So like for you to come on and to do this podcast is amazing. So I will give it up to you, my love. Please tell us what your journey has been like when your pregnancy started.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, sorry. Like maybe introduce yourself a little bit so that people know a little bit about your background and whatnot.
Yeah. My name is Mona Greenspoon. I live in Bangkok, Thailand. And so I have a daughter of a 3-year-old daughter now. And then my son is now 4 months old. Yeah. And yeah, so that's me.
Tell us a little bit also about your background in your work. Like, what did you do before you were momming? Because I find that really fascinating.
Just before I was pregnant with my daughter, I was like in acting, singing in that area of work. And then actually the company that I worked for closed down. And while I was pregnant with the first one, and I started. It was so stressful.
So this had nothing to do with COVID though, right? Like it just closed down.
No, this was a couple of years back. This is when I had my first daughter. And then I started opening a school with my friend. That didn't work out as well. And so finally, I actually found the job that I love the most, which is working for the Office of External Affairs of the Baha'is of Thailand. And I followed the discourses in the society. And at the moment, what we're really focusing on right now is inequality, social and economic inequality in Thailand. And so it's work that, it's very dear to my heart. Yeah.
Can you actually tell us a little bit about that? What kind of a society you're living in? Because I think that is going to really put the foundation of your challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, actually it was the main challenge of my. Okay, so maybe I'll share with you about. Okay, so Thailand is it's a capitalist society. So
but you guys have a monarchy too. I don't think a lot of people know this, that you have a king, you have a queen, you have a princess, and they're all very like active within like society, right?
Yeah, so they do a lot of things. They have a lot of foundations, and although like right now everything is very sensitive regarding
the monarchy.
Yeah,
Interesting.
And the politics. Yeah, and I guess that's one of the reasons like people are a little bit upset about this inequality in Thailand, and a lot of people are really struggling, and yet only 1% of the population in Thailand has majority of the wealth of the country.
So the inequality, what is it? What is the inequality? Is it wealth? Just like or just like access, like if you're not cool, like you don't get jobs, or does it have to do with like race? Does Thailand have like different races or?
Not really. Like there are regions, and then there are prejudices towards different regions, a little bit of a couple of tribes. But I think compared to other countries around us, let's say Malaysia, right? It's really like diverse. Whereas Thailand, everyone's like Thai, but the tradition slightly differs for each region. I think the main inequality that people feel it's regarding wealth. As a capitalist country, right? It runs a lot like on wealth, and then also education, also access to things, to technology. And so there's a couple of things like urban settings and the countryside,
Rural settings.
So those kind of every tiny like details, it just adds up to a big chunk of inequality, and it's being felt throughout the country.
So how are people responding to those inequalities? Is there, what do you call it, protests and stuff? Like how are they going about doing that?
Yeah, I guess there are many groups of people who tries to tackle this. There are different foundations that do researches on this. There are youths on the street protesting. There are people talking about it. Yeah, there are influencers who come up with content to educate people. And as what our office is following up, we can see that there are some underlying causes, which is one is like prejudice, right? And Thailand is such a country that is you stick up for your friends. So your friends first and other people later. There's that kind of tradition, and also.
So you mean like the Chinese version of like is like relationships, like you protect the people that you know first, and then the greater. Got it. Okay.
So then we are not like really looking at everybody as one and as equal, and everybody also has their capacity and also can and should have equal access to be able to improve themselves, develop themselves academically and other areas as well. And also the prejudices that is going around, poor people having prejudices towards the rich people, also the same way. So there are a lot of underlying issues that in terms of what do you call that, in the
psyche of the country.
Yeah, it's deeper than just the actual issue, but it's in the consciousness of the society. Yeah.
See, I love talking about this so much because I don't think a lot of people even think about Thailand in terms of what the country is actually going through. Like maybe more enlightened people are, but at least for myself, like I'm asking these questions because I genuinely don't know. I go to Thailand for vacation. So I'm like enjoying the beaches and like the beautiful hotels. And like, I don't really have an opportunity to really get to know the local people unless I'm actually going to visit like the Baha'i community, which I did. And I visited their centers and it was wonderful. So yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing in order to tackle this and also how that influences your life. I also wanted to mention for the listeners, for those who cannot see Mona Greenspoon, she is half Thai, half white, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm half Canadian and Thai.
Half Canadian and Thai. So your mom is Thai and your dad is Canadian.
Yeah. Although my dad likes to say that I'm 100% Canadian and I'm 100% Thai.
So what is that like for you to live in Thailand? Because your husband is full Thai. What is that like with you two together, but also just you in general? Like, I would imagine is going with the privilege of, or like just every other country, that if you're half white, you're seen as a little bit like cooler, or like you get more privileges than a Thai person would. I don't know if that's the case for you too.
I think so. But for me, what is really obvious that is what I have as a privilege is the language. I can understand English better than other Thai. And I feel like being able to understand English, you are open to
a whole new world.
And you can get through to so much knowledge in the world. And whereas if your English, if you cannot really understand English, then you don't have that access to knowledge. And it's really sad. Yeah, I think that is also another inequality as well of the world. Like people are limited to what they can know, even though they want to know so much more. But if they're limited by language, then it blocks their progress.
It's true, but you also do so much service with your ability to speak in English and in Thai as well. So it's like the responsibilities I feel like that go to you to support other people, I think is also, I don't want to say a burden. It is a privilege, but I think also you have to carry a lot. Like I say this firsthand, like having seen this from you, like the way, even just like the way we met was actually, I was working with the Royal Thai Army on an influenza project. So I went to Thailand for work and research. And then there was a holy day or a feast or something, or I wanted to just go to the Baha'i Center and meet the Baha'is. And then I got in touch with you, or someone put me in touch with you. And then I went to the center and you were the one who was translating for me the whole evening, like what was happening. And so I would not have understood or known anything had you not shared that with me. This is for outsiders. I'm not important. I'm like just a visitor passing by. But I would assume that also if anyone were to come visit you or visit Thailand, that everyone would look to you they would almost expect it from you. They wouldn't even ask because it's just, okay, Mona's the only one who can do this. Yeah, I don't know, because I also speak Mandarin as well. So I feel like this is a lot of the time, maybe I'm speaking my own pain here. I feel like this happens quite a lot with me. So I don't know if that's the same with you as well.
Oh, I think that like it's not just me in Bangkok who can speak English. There are many Baha'is in Bangkok, and also the people in Bangkok, their English is getting like really good. Some are way better than my English. But I think as I mentioned earlier, that because of English, I have more access to education and knowledge. And that also includes the Baha'i writing. And so I could understand it. When you translate, sometimes it loses meaning because each language would have the vocabularies for the concepts that they think about or work with. And so some of the concepts in one language doesn't exist in another culture. So then, and so by being able to read the English version of the writings, then we can draw on more inspiration. And there are so much more in English than what has been translated to Thai. So I think being able to serve more is also because I got this advantage of being able to learn more and more.
Wow. So how many books have been translated into Thai?
There are many.
Or tell me the ones that haven't, if it's a shorter list. Or like ones that you like, you're like, oh, this is a really good book that like they don't have access to. Do you have your favorites?
Okay, for example, The Promulgation of World Peace.
For your work, I would imagine that would be really important.
Yeah, The Seven Valley.
Oh no, that's the best. Oh no. Oh, I would die if that was not there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, also Shoghi Effendi's book on
Advent of the Divine Justice.
Okay, we don't have that too, but there's another one, a lot on the master as well.
World Order of Baha'u'llah.
I cannot remember it right now.
Goodness.
Yeah.
The Seven Valleys. That was a painful one to hear. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Oh,
there are many. But, okay, what are like the Paris talks, some answered questions? We have those. We have definitely the Kitabi Akta.
Yes. Okay. Good.
And the prayers and the hidden words, definitely.
Oh, thank God. Okay, great. That's a good one. Yeah.
And the Ruhi books, of course.
Yes. Yay. What are the Ruhi books? Tell the people, the listeners who are not familiar with the Ruhi books, or actually any of the other books, that at least the other books, they had titles. But the Ruhi books are like a sequence of courses, which the Baha'i community does. But I'll let you share a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's as you said, it's a sequence of courses that helps us to see what can we do to help the society around us. And we want the world to be in such a state that we have peace and harmony and people are like one family. But I think the Ruhi gives me that hope that as we learn about ourselves, we learn about others around us, and we learn how to be able to be of service to the people around us, then we can go closer to that vision that we have. Yeah, and so it's like a community based and bringing people in the community together and have this new culture of consultation within the families and within the community.
So what that looks like is like groups of people coming together to talk about the Baha'i writings. People who come are not just Baha'is, like they're people at all peoples in the community, and they come and consult on the Baha'i writings on how to build a vision of a greater world. Like one of the first quotes in the first book one, I actually don't know if it's the same in the new book one, I have yet to take it, but the betterment of the world can be accomplished through pure and goodly deeds, through commendable and seemly conduct. And so basically the Ruhi sequence starts off with that question. And I feel like that's like the foundation of the whole sequence of us discussing what that actually means and how can we apply that into our lives. So if anyone wants to actually study this in your localities, anywhere you are, you will be able to find a Ruhi study circle. I've actually told several women over the 30 interviews that I did about this, because they were actually asking about children's spiritual education. And I was like, oh, the third book is about children's spiritual education. And just the other day, actually in Dalian, in one of the friends' company, they were actually introducing the third book, like the book about building, I don't know what it's called, but it's about children. It's like developing how to develop their spiritual qualities in a company of 150 people, and to get them and the parents, the people, the workers who were there, who are parents, anyone who wanted to join, to come together to study this book. Because the only thing that they would talk to their boss about, they would have this round table and they would talk to them about always their children and like how things about their child stressed them out and stuff. And so the boss was like, let's get together and study this book. So literally anywhere you are, you would be able to find this. So Ruhi is spelled Ruhi. If you Google it and type in like your city location where you can do this, I'm sure there's going to be contact numbers and things that are going to pop up. So just thought I would let that everyone know that. So yeah, okay.
They have put it up on the Ruhi website as well. You can just download the books in different languages. You can just do it yourself with your friends.
Get a group of people, guys, and just get together and have a chat. It's amazing. Okay, so I did not expect for us to speak about Thailand for this long, but I love it because I'm interested in this. So I absolutely love it. But I think this is a good time for us to go into, all right, now that the listeners have a little bit more context of what Thailand is like and all these things and what are going in the society that you are in, take this home with us to your personal experience. Like how does the structure of the land, how did it affect you?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe before I answer that question, maybe I should also give at least my reading of reality of how the society, what perception does the society have on birthing. And I think that would also contribute to the story.
And I think this is so amazing because every country, like the way they view birth and like just the birthing process is so different. Even with me, like when I was working in China in the maternity hospital, even going from the northern China to the southern China, like their practices were like great. It was almost going to like a whole different country. So I can relate, but please do continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Thailand in the past, people used to just give birth at home with the, what do you call that? Not the doula, the midwife. And then when the hospitals took over birthing process, then they made like midwife and giving birth at home illegal.
Ooh.
So there's none of those.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot that it goes on in how birthing is a dangerous matter. There's even a ghost movie that based on this lady who gave birth when the husband was away in war and then she died with her baby as well at home. That is the perception, that the image that the people have about birthing, that it's dangerous, it should be done at the hospital and all that. And even in hospitals, there's a lot of, so there are public hospitals, there are private hospitals, and there are like another class, like a luxurious hospital. And when I had my first child, I went to the private hospital, the middle one. These private hospitals, they do make a lot more money doing cesarean section rather than like natural birth. And then at that time, we were like, we knew that the doctor wasn't supportive towards the end, maybe around week 36. From week 36, then we could tell that she was like, the baby is too big, you are too small, I don't think you will be able to have natural birth. So then we started going to see other doctors at the luxurious hospital, because the luxurious hospital has a name for natural birth, because it caters to expats community in Thailand. And so it's really expensive. At that point, we were like, should we go to that hospital or should we continue with the doctor that we have been seeing so far? So we decided that it's too expensive and I will be able to deliver my own baby, my own child on my own, and I'll be strong. That's what I thought. And then we continued with the same doctor. And then by the time that I was in labor, it was really difficult. And at that point, it was just me on my own with my husband, and the doctor and the nurses would be like, yeah, would you like to do a cesarean? In that time, I'm sure many moms who have been through that point. Yeah, so it was almost 24 hours that I was in. Finally, in the morning, when my actual doctor came in, I was on a phone with my very good friend. I look at her as my sister. So she was like, Doctor, can she still try a little bit more? Can she go on a little bit more? Then the doctor was saying that, like, she was asking, like, when is the limit? And so the doctor was like, it is already way past the limit. So at that point, I was like, cut me. I was like, I cannot go on with this anymore. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a C-section. So then that was quick, very quick. The doctor was like, sign this, let's go, boop, cut, done. Then they brought my daughter over. And at that point, I just couldn't look at her. I felt so ashamed. Like, I felt like I wasn't strong enough. If I could still go on, then perhaps I would be able to get through it and then I could have a natural birth. Yeah. So I felt really sad. I was like, there were literally like tears in my eye. It's the first time I meet her. I'm so happy to see her, but at the same time, I felt so bad. And even after delivery, I felt down. And so I think he needs to have some milk.
Go for
Just
it.
1 second. I'll just go and get my baby, and then just
Sounds great. The realities of motherhood, guys. I'm sure you can relate.
After I delivered her and everything, I was resting, and the next day I was still sad. I was still like really sad. And then my sister told me about VBAC and how I should still do a VBAC for the second child. Because
what's a VBAC?
VBAC is vaginal birth after cesarean section. So I could still go for a natural birth. Okay, and maybe I'll just share with you why I felt so down. I think as many women out there also feel like it's natural. It's something that we should be able to do. It's something that we were created that way. And so I just thought that I should be able to do it too. But of course, there are complications and there are things and that maybe prevent, and just for other ladies not to as you listen to this, not to also think that this is the only way for your child or children to be born. Yeah, but anyway, that was the state of mind that I was in. Okay, so then that's when I decided that if I have a second child, definitely I will have this VBAC. I will still try for natural birth. And then I got pregnant again. Yeah. Should I just go on or would you like to
go for it? I have nothing. I just wanted to let you know, I don't think anyone listening to this podcast is going to be judging you. So that's all I just wanted to say, is that they're going to be like just sending you good vibes and good hearts and just being like, it's hard and it's painful labor. So I don't think even people who did natural birth, I don't think they're going to judge you to be like, they're like, I know how painful it was, girl. You just do what you needed to do.
Yeah. And okay, so maybe what the doctor told me before I went into cesarean section is that she said that my daughter's head is stuck on the pelvis. It's on the one
it's
side.
Already dropped.
It's dropped, but it's like on the pelvis. It doesn't go through, but it's on the side. Okay, so then I thought it might have been a real medical reason or not. I wasn't sure, or it was like I could still carry on and do it. So I always had that in mind. And also doctor said that I am short, I am a petite lady, and
your vajayjay is broken, therefore
my hip is not like wide enough. And my daughter was too big. That's what my doctor said.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I tried to contact like hospitals that could do VBAC in Thailand. And then I know for sure 2 hospitals, which is the luxurious one and caters to the expats community. And so I called them and I asked them about the price and all that. And I thought it was like about 120,000 baht, which is 440 Is it $40,000? 30 baht. $1 is 30 baht.
Yeah, that makes sense. 40,000 US.
Yeah. And so then but it wasn't sure, but I was thinking, okay, that hospital, and it's still very expensive to have natural birth. So I did a lot more research. I looked at many hospitals, and then I came across this article that was written by a doctor. And this article was explaining what is TOLAC and what is VBAC. So I got in touch with the hospital, and they said that to come in and talk to the doctor yourself if you're able to do a VBAC. And so I went in and I met the doctor, and the doctor said that yes, like she can definitely help me with the VBAC. And so I've been like meeting with her.
So wait, what is a tollback for the listeners who don't know, including myself?
It's a trial of labor after cesarean. So you go for a TOLAC, you go for a trial of labor after cesarean, and if you succeed, then you had a
vaginal birth.
Vaginal after cesarean. Vaginal birth after cesarean.
So how is that different to a VBAC?
It's just the state that you're in. If let's say you are laboring and that you're in TOLAC, once you've completed, then you've done VBAC.
Got it. Okay. So it was like the process of that. Okay. It was the step before a VBAC, basically. Okay. Awesome. I think we're good now. We all understand.
Another thing is when I called the hospitals, then they don't know what VBAC is. Like in Thailand, like not many people know. And then when I said that I'm going for a vaginal birth, they all will be like, no, once you've done cesarean section, that's it. You have to continue cesarean section. And then I'm like, no, actually, no. You know that there are many countries that do VBAC and they're very successful. The rates are really high. And so it has been like a really like educational process for people around me as well.
You really did a service to mankind. I would say that you're being humble with the amount of research that you were doing. Like you had spreadsheets and stuff like that. You said that you called like 40 something hospitals around Thailand to get this information. Like she did. I feel like you're an expert and everyone should come to you to ask questions about this because I feel like you would know, Mama. You would know.
There are like I've had like help. น้องนินค่ะขอผ้าหน่อยได้ไหมคะ Okay, sorry.
Oh, good. Every mother knows what a spit up sounds like. They're just like, oh, okay, cool.
มีผ้า
ต้องกินเสร็จแล้วใช่ไหมคะ
กินเสร็จแล้วแต่ว่าเขาแหวกนมออกมาเยอะมากเลยต้องมาเช็ด Okay, yes. Okay, all right. So at that point, I didn't do that much research. At that point, after I found this hospital, then I stopped. I thought that she would be the one who would help me. And there's another factor that I forgot to tell. My daughter, my first child, was almost 42 weeks. She was born at almost 42 weeks. And that was already like really difficult to persuade the doctor not to cut me. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so
tell people who might have never been pregnant before, like what does 42 weeks mean? Is that like over the usual weekage of a pregnancy?
Yeah, so actually for like women are pregnant up to 40. 40 is estimated term and that's your due date, but it's estimated because it's not sure. The doctor cannot be sure when did the
sperm and the embryo like hatched.
Yeah. The term
conception.
They cannot be sure of when the conception really takes place, so it's estimated. And most of the people give birth like 2 hours, about 2 weeks before due date or 2 weeks after. So like in that period the most. I know like in many countries, they don't consider 42 weeks late. They after 42 weeks onwards, then they would say that's late. But in Thailand, if you don't deliver at 40 weeks, then they will say that is late. Because one of the concern is that the baby might swallow
amniotic fluid,
the poo. There's a word for poo. So their intestine would be fully developed. Some babies who already develop will already start poo-pooing, and so they might be micronium. Okay. So they might swallow micronium, which is a very small percentage, but it can also be dangerous. So doctors tend to say that if by 40 you don't go into labor, then we should cut you.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love this saying, I'm gonna cut you. Like it's so archaic, but yeah, please. It's just a reality. Like literally, that's literally what they do. They cut you.
Yeah. Okay. So then with the second child, then there are some certain factors that you have to pass also in order for my doctor to allow me to do a VBAC. Okay.
What were the conditions?
So I I shouldn't be pregnant after, like I should deliver before 40 weeks. The baby shouldn't be too big. There's no other complication. My center wall, it shouldn't be too thin. And so, yeah, there are those things. And then towards like later on when I met her, she was like, you should go into labor at 39 weeks. And then with my second pregnancy, I had many supporters. I told my friend who is really passionate about birth, and yeah, she would love to become a doula. And so she has really encouraged me through. And then and then her doula also supported me. And then I had a midwife that I did
acupuncture
with her, because my older daughter would not come out. So I was like trying to find every way. So I met her, from that. And so then when I discussed with other people around me, and then they shared how 39 weeks is not a very good sign that she will really support me, because it's unlikely that if the first pregnancy I went into labor almost at 42 weeks, then the first before 39 weeks, that's
unlikely.
Unlike. Oh, then there are things that the doctor was sharing about the placenta wall. In the research said that it should be more than 3 centimeters or 3 millimeters, but my doctor said it shouldn't be less than 5, and then mine was getting thinner and thinner as my baby was growing bigger and bigger, and then my baby was getting heavier, and that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. And that's when I don't think I can continue with this doctor. This doctor might not really support me. Then I asked her, how many VBACs have you done? Then she said, and I wish I had asked that from the start. Asked that later, much later. And she said that she had two failed VBAC. Yeah, and the mothers didn't go through with it. And then one successful one. And so the midwife and the doula and my friend, they were like, that is nothing. That's
not someone who's experienced.
Yeah. I'm sure she could do it. I'm really sure, but I'm not sure if she's confident enough. And
exactly.
So, okay.
If you have more failures than you do successes, then like also you want to ensure the safety of the mother. So that wouldn't be a good reputation to have for a doctor to lose it. I don't know what failed VBACs mean, if the mother was lost entirely, or just that she had to do a C-section. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Thank God.
what
God.
what she said was that she said that the mother didn't go through with it. I think maybe like the mother was so in pain and that.
Got it.
So I then searched for other hospitals and I went to visit in that luxurious hospital. And then the doctor was so nice. I shared with her that financially it's not possible for me to pay like really that much for delivery. And yeah, so anyway, so that time she was like, okay, maybe she'll let the nurse try to see how much it is. So then the nurse went and came back and then gave me the price. That meeting with the doctor didn't charge me for it.
Oh, wow.
Because she was really kind and she knows how much I wanted feedback. And then the bill came and the invoice came and it was 160 something, 64 I think thousand baht, up to 200,000 baht.
So that was more than the other hospital that like did it. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
So that was like more like 50,000, 60,000 US dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, for a natural birth. And then after that, I went to another hospital and I checked and the prices were about the same. I went to another hospital which is cheaper. And I wanted to go visit the doctor. They didn't even let me see the doctor. They were like, you're too big now. Because by the time I decided that, I have to
switch doctors. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I was already 36 weeks. And so at that point, then, the doctor won't even meet me. And I didn't have the chance to explain myself or anything. They were like, you're too big. And then because of COVID, they also limit the number of patients as well.
Yeah.
And so they try not to accept new cases, especially when they're so far along. Okay, and so it was, that was like one of the hope, and then it was gone. then after that, I decided to call all the hospitals. That's when the calling. Yeah. Then I called all the hospital. I asked about VBAC and then
around Thailand. Call all the hospitals around Thailand. So, yeah. Okay. Got it.
And then I had other friends in different parts of Thailand. And then my friend suggested, why not try to find like other hospitals outside Bangkok. I didn't think that was possible because my support system is in Bangkok. My home is here. And I already thought of how my daughter would be with her friends, would be at her friend's house and all that. So I didn't think of that. But then, then why not? Let me try. And at that point, this talk about inequality was really in this course on inequality in Thailand. And that really brought me so down. Like what I wanted for myself is not something luxurious. I didn't want anything unnatural. I didn't want anything that
you weren't asking too much. Yeah.
I was just asking to have a natural birth, which I'm the one doing the work. But it wasn't possible because I didn't have the money to do that. I didn't have the fund to go to that luxurious hospital that they would help me deliver. Yeah. So then I was really sad about that. And then when my friend suggested to call other areas of Bangkok, go to somewhere else in Thailand, then I asked around. And then I have one friend who is very close with the oncologist. Oncologist is
gynecologist, obstetrics. Oncologist is like for cancer.
The doctor who delivers babies.
Obstetric doctor.
Okay. Yeah. So she has friends who study this. And then she asked her friend, and then her friend said, why don't you try Chiangmai? It's a very traditional place. And then they support natural birth. And then I called different hospitals in Chiangmai. No. Finally, there's one more place, but they asked me to call on Monday. at that time when I was calling other hospitals, it was on Saturday. I didn't, yeah. So then I just had to wait until Monday, but other hospitals didn't do it. So then when I called this hospital, it's a, what do you call that? Like a learning hospital, like
Teaching hospital?
Teaching hospital. Yes. And so then I called them on Monday, first thing in the morning. And then they say, oh yeah, we do it. Like it's not something new. It's
Yeah.
a normal thing. And then I was like, really? You do? And then I asked and I keep calling them to make sure. And then
Every time I call you, are you still going to say the same thing?
if I go there, I will be coming from Bangkok. And at that point, Bangkok was the red zone for COVID. And then
That's
if
right.
I go there, and then I had this experience that they turned me down because I was too far along.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that they won't turn me down.
Yeah.
And so they said to come very early this time, try to get into, they only accept 5 new people every
wow.
morning. Okay, so that was Monday. I was 36 weeks. And then on Tuesday, then myself, my husband and my family, then we plan to leave for Chiang Mai right away on Wednesday. But on Tuesday at nighttime, I had a sharp pain right around my incision site. And I was worried because that's one of the worries why people don't go for natural birth after they have cesarean section is there is a risk of the bursting of the yeah. But although it's a very low percentage, but that's what but there's more percentage in women who has already like done cesarean section. Okay, so then I decided not to travel yet. And I went to visit my doctor again. And then when I went to see my doctor, I didn't share with her what's wrong, that I had sharp pain on the incision side, but I wanted her to check like how thin is the wall. And it's still fine. It's still the same width as the last time I visited her.
Thickness.
And everything seemed fine. Everything was fine. Then, and at that point, she was like, no, you don't have to go into labor by 39 weeks. But in the 39 week, you should already start having some sign of labor. Yeah. Then to deliver by 40 weeks. So it was like, oh, okay, maybe should I still go on with her? Everything is packed in the car. Everything, the bag, everything packed. We're ready to take our journey up to the north, which will be 9 hours drive. And then I was
for a pregnant woman. How many weeks were you at that point?
I think turning 37. I think I already turned 37 at that time.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think on Monday I would have turned like 37. And so then me and my husband, we were so reluctant. What should we do? Should we go up to Chiang Mai or should we continue with this doctor? We have friends, we have that and this. If we go to Chiang Mai, what if they reject us? What if it's not what we want? Okay, so then I discussed with everybody. I discussed with my friend, with my midwife, with the new doula, with my friend and my close friends, my dad, my mom. Like I discussed with everyone. What should I do? And then I discussed with one of the nurse who is in Chiang Mai, but not exactly there. She's on the hill, like she's in the hill tribe area. And she said that, oh, we do it for the hill tribe mother. They usually come in and even herself, she's done VBAC many times. And I'm like, wow. Like I was really excited to hear that.
Yeah. What a comfort.
Then, yeah.
You're just totally.
But then I couldn't decide. Still, I couldn't decide. Then I actually sat down and I prayed.
That's what you do when you're in that situation.
And I prayed. And then after I prayed, I meditate a little bit. I imagine what it would be like. I imagine the birthing process. If I delivered here, I imagine if I delivered there, what will it be like? And then one thought that came to mind is safety. and I needed safety. That is the most important fact. And then I thought, okay, let's say if something wrong happens, where will I be able to be safe? Where will it be the safest for me? And then at that point, I felt like it was Chiang Mai that would be the safest place because they have done it so many times. They are equipped with doctors, with not only just like doctors, but the professors and also the students and everyone. Yeah. So I thought that it would be a safer choice. So we drove out that evening, and then we arrived at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I think it was a great decision that I made, not only because I was in Bangkok, COVID was so hard and depressing, and going to Chiang Mai and it's a bit freer, and then I get to see nature, I get to see good friends. And the friend who I admire as a sister, lives in Chiang Mai, who was with the phone call with me the whole night when I had the older child. Yeah. So then
I don't know who she is, but God bless her heart, because that must have been such a comfort for you too. I like her already. I like her already.
Yeah, I like her a lot too. Okay, so when I was in Chiang Mai, I went and I visited the hospital, and the doctor thinks everything is fine. And then, okay. The first thing that the nurse spoke to me after, like, she has referred me, she was like, your due date is 40 weeks, but not all women deliver at 40 weeks. It might be 41, 42. And then she just said so naturally, whereas if I went to other doctors in Bangkok, they would be like, at 40 weeks, if you don't deliver,
you're out.
Be on
yeah. Sorry, I missed that. What, you would be on the what?
On the ready for the doctor to chop you up. Yeah.
Like a piece of meat.
Yeah. And then so that was really comforting. And then when I met the doctor, was like, she said that, we usually do natural birth unless there is some other
issue, like risk or something like that.
Then that's the time that they will opt for C-section. And so that was another point that I felt like, it was such a confirmation that I got from going to Chiangmai. And okay, so then I was there waiting to induce labor, like the natural weighing. Then I had a lot of Braxton Hicks, especially like in this second pregnancy. I had it since so early in my pregnancy.
Can you share with people who don't know what Braxton Hicks are? What is it?
So Braxton Hicks is similar to, they call is like a false labor. So there, it's like this, and like early on, during like in the like second trimester, it was this sensation of like tightness, your belly, like really stiff and tight. And then after you lay down or you change your position, then it will go away, like that all the time. And so I thought, I have had so many practices, then I'm sure my labor will be wonderful. And so later on, then after I was in Chiang Mai, I had a couple of Braxton Hicks again, and I thought it felt like labor. It was getting intense, and it was close by to each what do you call them? Each surge, very close by.
The frequency. And then I thought, the frequency was closer together.
And so I thought that that's it. Then I just try to relax. I will try to go to the hospital as late as possible. The problem with the first labor was that I went in way too early, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. So I was at the hospital, and then they checked me all the time. They told me not to move. I had to just stay in bed and all that. So then this time I learned from the first time, I will not go to the hospital early. I will try to soak myself in warm baths. I will let my husband massage me. I will do the breathing. I prepared all that. And then, Braxton Hicks, I try to lay down, calm, sleep. get as much sleep as possible. I woke up, it was gone. It was gone. It was like that a couple of times. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a great practice. And then one day it was so like intense and it got so close to each other. And the surges were already like the intense one. And it was like a bit painful already. And I thought that was it again. And then it went away again. I then asked my support group, and they said that it might have been a prodromal labor. Wait, I think I'm getting it wrong. Normal labor. I cannot remember the term. It can be caused by stress or different things, or the baby is not in the position, so the body is trying to get the baby in position, or there's something wrong. Okay, so that's probably like what happened. And then it was like reaching 40 weeks. Actually, at 40 weeks, that's when I had that labor. And 40 weeks went by, and then no sign yet. But I actually not intentionally, I told the wrong due date to the hospital. Because I remembered, both my husband and myself, we remembered that my due date is supposed to be on Thursday. But once we calculated and we looked at it again, it's actually should be on Monday. So we have been like, so this other hospital then think that my due date is not there yet. So they think that my due date is on Thursday, and when on Monday, that is the due date. So it's actually good because I had a couple of days more. Yeah. And so then on the due date that I told that the hospital in Chiangmai knew that day was the due date, it was the 17th, right? And at that point, early in the morning, I thought I had pee on the bed. I thought I peed a little bit on the bed. And then when I got up and I went to the washroom, I saw like a gush of water came up. And so I knew that this is the amniotic fluid. And then I called my doula, my friend, the midwife. They said to wait. Your labor should be within 12 hours. Okay, so this was a day before my due date. That my amniotic fluid, it was the 16th. And okay, then I waited 12 hours, nothing. No contraction, like no real contraction. So I was like getting nervous because the hospital told me all the time that if your water breaks, you have to come to the hospital immediately. But then I didn't want to go to the hospital too early. So I waited, and after 12 hours, he didn't come. Then I thought, okay, so within 24 hours, most of the people whose water has been broken should go into labor. And then after 24 hours, nothing. I was getting like, okay, so one part of me wanted to go to the hospital, but another part of me, if I don't have contraction, then they will put me on Pitocin, and that increases the risk of my uterine abruption. And so if you do a VBAC, you should do it naturally. Like you shouldn't induce with Pitocin. So I was scared of that, and I didn't want to and then also try not to go on any medication, because if there's a uterine abruption, then you won't be able to feel the pain, and you need to be able to tell if this pain is a normal pain or if this pain is a weird pain, right? Then 48 hours and nothing.
Oh my gosh.
And so I decided because I was worried as well. But then there are different researches. So some research tell you not to go after 24 hours. Some research tells you not to go up to not to go beyond 48 hours. And then the British research told you not to go like within 72 hours you should deliver your baby. But at the same time that I wanted to have this natural contraction, I was also scared that what if the amniotic fluid isn't enough. I know that it what do you call that,
Lubricates.
It will, the body continues to make amniotic fluid, so it will not go away. It
Go
will
dry.
it won't go dry if I drink a lot of water and all. So I had this, when I walk, water gushes out, and I had to change so many pads. It was just coming out, and I was so scared that it might be out more like faster than
You would be able
meeting,
to create,
yeah. And so then I went to another hospital. It was another hospital. I went for like a screen, what do you call that? An ultrasound. So that it's not the hospital that I'm seeing currently. And then if they said I should go on C-section, well, at least I can still leave that hospital and say, okay, I will do it somewhere else. Yeah. And then I went, the doctor.
And where was the birth going to be? So the VBAC was going to be in the hospital?
Yes.
So if you went to the hospital, they would automatically, you were scared that they were going to automatically put you on C-section?
They will admit me and probably try to induce labor. Yeah, other ways. And okay, so I think at 24 hours, that's when I went to another hospital and checked regarding my amniotic fluid. And at that time, it came out a lot. And so the doctor said that, your amniotic fluid doesn't look like there's much. There's like about, it should be about 500 something. I don't know, like what's the measurement, and yours about that. So I was like, okay, that means I'm still okay. If I'm still, it already came out a lot, but I'm still at that point. So I went on, right? I went on, and up to 48 hours, I was getting scared that maybe I won't come, like I won't, that my contraction won't come. So I went into the hospital late at night, emergency. And then I was like, I'm not sure if it's the amniotic fluid or not, but I think maybe it is. And so they checked. And then I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened at that point, but they actually checked. They took the fluid out and checked. And then they said, oh, it's not amniotic fluid. I was really shocked because there's no way that is not amniotic fluid.
What kind of fluid was it?
No, I'll explain later what my doula suspect. Okay. And after that, then they said, would you like to go home then? I said, yes, I would like to go home. And then I went home. And then they scheduled me for the next day appointment to visit the doctor. And then my contraction didn't kick in. So at that point, I thought I had no other choice. I will have to go in and convince them that it is the amniotic fluid. And when I went, I was like, it is amniotic fluid. I think I have it. And they were like, oh, but they sent you back. Oh, maybe not, and all that. And then I had to try to convince them that it is. Check me. And okay, so I think the British that says you can go up to 72 hours, but the risk of it is not the water that is coming out. The risk of it is if anything goes inside. So you have to keep your area as clean as possible and don't put anything inside. Don't put your finger inside. Don't soak in like hot tub or anything as well. And so I was really careful. But then the risk that I took was that day that they checked. They put their finger inside and then they Yeah. And so that's the first risk. And the risk of infection will go up. Once they put, the more times they check you, the risk of infection increases.
For sure.
So yes, so then finally the doctor said, okay, come, let's go and I'll check. And then let's go and check. So then when I took off my panties, then they saw the water. Then they're like, yes, it is.
Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I promise you there is a good ending. So wait until part 2 where she gets to say a little bit more about it. And we will see you next week in the part 2 of this episode. Woohoo!